Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are testing Cyberpunk 2077's new patch 2.3 on the GTX 1650 using the latest version of lossless scaling. I'll be starting off with the LSFG 3.1 frame generation using the X2 multiplier, which is the sweet spot for low-end GPUs like the 1650. This gives you a smoother 60 plus FPS feel even if the actual FPS is around 30 to 40. I'll also be testing the new adaptive FG mode, which automatically adjusts how many frames are generated. Great for handling sudden FPS drops or unstable frame times. Now, since I'm already using Cyberpunk's in-game FSR upscaling set to quality, I'll keep lossless scaling's built-in upscaler disabled to avoid conflicts. Let's jump into the benchmark and see how it performs. Alright, so first up we're running Cyberpunk 2077 patch 2.3 at 1080p low settings within game FSR 3.0 set to quality mode, no lossless scaling enabled. This is pure native gameplay performance on the GTX 1650 without node.
What's your problem?
Now we're testing Cyberpunk 2077 with the newly added FSR 3.1 frame generation. This is one of the biggest features in patch 2.3. I've kept the resolution at 1080p and I'm still using FSR 3.0 for upscaling on quality mode, but now we've enabled native FSR 3.1 frame generation without using lossless scaling.
I'm gonna eat your spleen!
Let's see what you're made of!
End of the line for you! No, fuck you!
Hold on! Gotta reload! Nobody makes it out alive!
Alright guys, now I turned on lossless scaling with the X2 setting. The game is still running at 1080p low and I'm using FSR 3.0 quality from in-game for upscaling. I've kept Cyberpunk's native frame gen off this time, so only lossless scaling is doing the frame generation. Also, I didn't enable the upscaling inside lossless scaling because the game is already using FSR 3.0 for that. just turned on the new mode in Lossless Scaling 3.2. It's called Adaptive FG. I set the target to 100 FPS just to test how far it can go, but honestly, it's not worth it. With my in-game FPS around 30, pushing it to 100 adds a lot of input lag and makes the image feel blurry and unstable.
All units in the area, order has been restored. All units instructed to return to patrol. All units in the area. Criminal activity reported in Watson.
Roger. Probably some cyber psycho again, but I'll handle it. Say, any update on my overtime bonus? Dispatch?
Tigers! Back!
Alright, so now that I'm getting around 25 to 35 FPS in game, I've set the Adaptive FG target FPS to 65 in lossless scaling. This gives a much better result, smoother gameplay without the input lag or blur I saw at higher targets like 100. Quick tip, for the best results with Adaptive FG, always try to set the target FPS to about double your real in-game FPS. In this case, 30 times 2 equals 60. So 65 FPS is the sweet spot here for the GTX 1650.
All units in the area. Disorderly conduct reported in Watson.
331 responding. On my way, dispatch. But only because I like you.
All units be advised. Suspect remains in the vicinity. Suspect's vehicle has been located. Details have been sent.
Now it's time for a side-by-side test. On the left we have Cyberpunk 2077 using native FSR 3.0 quality mode, no frame generation. On the right we're using Lossless Scaling's frame generation x2 multiplier with the same in-game FSR 3.0 quality mode. Both are running at 1080p low, and this test will help show the real difference in smoothness, input response and overall performance between the two. Let's see which one gives a better experience on the GTX 1650. Now I'm comparing lossless scaling types 2 mode with the new adaptive FG features side by side, and which is set to 100 target. Honestly, after testing both, I can say that setting the target FPS to 100 in adaptive mode doesn't really help, especially when the in-game FPS is only around 30. Now I'm comparing adaptive FG with target FPS set to 65 versus set to 100, both running on the GTX 1650 at 1080p low with FSR 3.0 quality. Right away you'll notice that targeting 65 FPS gives a much smoother and more natural experience. That's because it matches closely with my base FPS, which is around 30 to 35. But when I set it to 100 FPS, things start to fall apart. I get more latency, visual blur, and overall the frame pacing feels off. So again, the sweet spot with adaptive FG is to set your target to around double your real FPS, not just a high number like 100 hoping it'll feel smoother, because it won't. Now I'm testing lossless scaling time 2 versus the new adaptive FG set to 60 FPS. Both are trying to double my in-game FPS, which is around 30. But honestly, adaptive FG feels better, smoother, less stuttery, and more stable overall. Even though Time 2 and Adaptive 60 are doing the same thing on paper, Adaptive handles things smarter in real gameplay. So yeah, if you're using lossless scaling, go with Adaptive FG and set your target to double your FPS. It just works better.